Hi everybody, can you believe it? March is almost around. So I guess you're getting ready for the spring or the fall, depending on which corner of this planet you are. And guys, if you wanted to get your annual scope and you forgot it, right now it's a great time. They're right now on sale. So you're getting one sign for 10 bucks and all signs for 20. So you can check somebody else, or you can check your ascendant and Venus sign and Mars sign. So this is a great opportunity. But the best part of my special is my speed up promotion. So you are not waiting 3 weeks anymore for the readings. So I'm actually upgrading whatever the term was before. So 3 weeks is now 1 week. So becoming a rush reading. And the rush reading, which was week, is now 3 days. And if you really want an urgent reading, you're going to get it within 24 hours. And if you're North America, most likely the same day. So guys, check my website www.cattarot.ca for more information. You can also find me on Instagram and on Facebook, where I actually also publish daily taroscopes. So let's jump in. Hi Cancers, so let's see what we have this month. The bottom of the deck, Good Kitty. Then we have Three of C reversed. That concerns me a little bit, so let me see the other cards before. The Moon reversed, which is you're reaching some kind of clarity over the situation that may have involved a third person. It may have involved some kind of interference. Something that has created joy is like now creating turmoil, and it looks like you have been dealing for a while with kind of like set of circumstances that haven't been completely clear and haven't been able to make a complete decision or basically verdict about it. Or you felt, each time you felt, well, you know, something else would jump and kind of like steer you in different directions. Some of you may have even been more determined in your resolve to kind of go forward, and sort of like, you know, like kitties having that, well, let's call it x-ray vision with this extra layer on their eyes, so it allows them to see in the dark. We unfortunately don't as humans. So with Moon reverses, it's actually really good. So for those of you who don't like reverse cards, this is better, which means clarity is arriving and we are able to see things differently. Let's see, the ground here is the World. The World is kind of like a great card when it's upright. When it's reversed, something that naturally should sail into the new phase is not yet there. So it kind of like so far feels a little stuck in energy. So far it feels, you know, dealing with some kind of hurt. This is definitely a hurt of something that has been going on. So let's see the past. And the past was Five of Fire, losing a battle, losing, you know, somebody trying to convince you in their point of view. Maybe you not fully agreeing with it. But when this kind of like reverses, it tells me that could have been, it's simply something that happened, felt like a loss to you. And it was absolutely emotionally hurting you over here, right? What is crowning you? Yay, cat magic. So I'm glad to say, because This is the last card in Major Arcana. This is not the first one. 0 is sort of a floater, but this should be literally the first card, which talks about, hey, you're jumping back on your feet. So some switch is about to happen here, guys. There is like still not a full cycle that finished, so we'll confirm this later. And then you have the floating cat. Floating cat is this cat tarot deck version of the Hangman, where you know you're not in a position that you feel really comfy about, but you're kind of like seeing things from a different side. And this is usually a situation when we actually really don't we really kind of like put our phone on mute. We kind of disconnect from the rest of the people, just simply being left to ourselves and to our own devices, trying to kind of like figure out this new stage of going into this. Guys, this is going to be kind of really important. I'm having already 4 cards that are Major Arcana, so I'm already able to tell you that March is going to be really crucial for you. You're going deep inside of you and kind of like trying to understand things that maybe it's even a new territory for you and how to go in certain things. So let's see the base over here. You have Sky Queen. Wow. Now, being a water sign, Sky Queen is something that is not your territory, right? So I can see in your heart there are emotions here, right? It could have been a conflict, could have been misunderstanding, could have been argument in the past, or even struggle for some kind of like kind. You're trying to ground yourself. It looks like you're losing sort of like a grasp of how to solidify yourself, or you need to kind of like find a new way in how to kind of like get there, right? Now all of a sudden I'm getting these kind of like easy breezy kind of cards, because Sky Queen is like sort of like when you're caught in huge distress that you react this way, because you guys kind of like more feel you're more easygoing, more laid back, and this queen is like very very kind of like hyper if you want to call it. Not that she shows this hyperness, but she is been through climbing the trees, she's been down in the trenches, she has been caught, has been going through the fear, has been has gotten through scratches and healing, and now she actually really grasp the system. She is almost like a little kind of kitty Superman, or super cat, better to say it, right? So for you to kind of like exhibit this, it means completely being fish out the water, going in completely unknown in a different position. So this is literally meaning you are really thinking about something through completely different lenses and through completely different viewpoint. And this is like where maybe the conversation with someone or realization of something kind of like gave you a completely different point of view about the situation. It is, I will give you one example, and just to see kind of like this positioning, how sometimes we jump to judgment. So this is and this is a true story. It was a guy on the subway with 2 children who in short were obnoxious. They were running back and forth, climbing on people, and basically yelling and screaming, and people around were annoyed, but not so much with the children, but with the fact that their father was just sitting there, you know, completely not even getting engaged with us or trying to minimize the situation. So that went on for a few stations, and finally one passenger boldly declared, listen, sir, you have to, you know, look after your children, and this is getting out of hand, and come on, what's up with that? So the guy kind of like finally started to look up, and he said, I'm so sorry, I just came from the hospital, and my wife, their mother, just died. So you see, situation like that kind of like change your perspective. And I'm not saying that you're going through something as drastic, but there is something like that that is going to cause this shift, the paradigm shift, as we call it in therapy. It's something that you think this is the way to do it, and sometimes we are kind of like saddled with the history of our parents, of our upbringing, and then we either see other people who are applying completely different principles and scratching our head, why didn't we do that before? You can see that in finances, where we think this is the way to go about it, and you see other people, and all of a sudden you learn a new system, you're not even thinking about the old system. So something of that kind is going to be happening to you this month, and it's really getting up in your head, really. So let's see your environment. You guys are very saddened. There is a big sense of loss, guys. In this picture, 5 of Cups, or 5 of Sea as they call it here, you know, the kitty was trying to reach for the fish, and I guess it was not successful, because it's now the sense of embarrassment and loss. So when it's reversed, it's kind of like even more so, kind of like feeling, oh my gosh, there is nothing here left in for me. I'm not so sure how to kind of like deal with this. And it could be that there is something on the outside pushing you into these thoughts, because I'm definitely seeing here very sensitized emotional response. On a heart level, I see sadness, but I also see a very strong will over here. There is like a chapter that finished that you're refusing to finish, but there is such a strong will that is emerging, almost as if it's a result of something. So let's see hopes and fears. Well, that's you guys. See Tom, and you know, it is actually lovely to see that, because for you guys to go in the air element and to act like air, it literally just like talks about accommodation to the circumstances, sort of a chameleon. You have to change the color just to be less vulnerable, and maybe you were trying to minimize the impact of some emotional impact by just trying to rationalize the situation and interpret the facts through your head, versus kind of like really letting this sink in your heart until, and this happens in a crisis, right? You don't feel the impact because of the adrenaline. It is just later when it starts to kind of like sink in that you're feeling it. So you're coming back to your cuteness, you and your senses and vulnerability. So it looks like this is really temporarily, and it is kind of understanding for something from the outside. And you need rest, you guys. 4 of Sky again. Maybe it's going to be just like simply too much thinking. You're going to say, ugh, I did a hard work. I actually really need to take some rest. And this is what would happen to you working in a different element of yours. If an air sign goes to your element, it is like just like simply diving deep down. So you really have to be adapt well to the element to go even just underneath the surface, never mind deeper. So the same thing goes for you going to the air sign. So let me just check a few things over here. Let me see, and you can tell for change, I know it's just the end of February, but we actually have spring in Toronto. It is really nice and warm. For those of you in metric system, it's about 14 Celsius. For those of you in Fahrenheit, that would be about, let me see, 28 and 32. It's about 60 degrees. So it's actually really lovely. So 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't quote me. I know it's kind of very difficult math, and that's why it's hard to translate. So let me just, and that's why you're hearing the banging. People are already starting to renovate and doing the stuff, and I'm keeping my actual windows open next to me. It's unheard of. So let us see. 5 on fire. Why is, and what happened over here? And then again, I really want to see what has to kind of like move to the next stage. It's a loss of somebody, guys. 5 of Fire. You have a reunion, you have Lord, and you have Scholar. So either lost some male, or you're a male who have lost somebody. Because it talks about issues or research, or looking deeper in the matter, or maybe this evil means kind of like having arguments over something and hoping for a reunion, but it didn't happen for some reason, and like you as a result dedicated to really try to get to the bottom of the issues that have been kind of persistent and pesky in this particular relationship. So let's see the World. Holy smoke. We have sorrow, we have misfortune, and we have death reversed, which also talks about real suffering. Something really happened that shook the ground underneath you. You're really recovering, and I can see this sorrow over here as well. What happened, guys? Something struck you to a point that it feels you cannot rebuild. I'm really sorry to say, but it looks like it was maybe even a death in some of the cases. Gosh, this is really taking me by surprise, the cards that are coming out. A friend of mine just lost his cat, and kind of like this does make sense in his situation. I don't know if the others of you have your 2 cents to tell me, because I'm still basically exploring what else and what kind of energy comes when I see these cards. So let's see this sorrow over here. Oh, look at this. It's a loss again of something special, because you're getting surprise, but it was a bad surprise. And then you have a foe reversed, which becomes possibly a friend. Maybe you have lost somebody, guys, who you really cherished. Maybe maybe the friend turned a foe, or foe turned into a friend. In any case, there is this declaration of something, of finality of something. Somebody really, really dear. We have Mia, Kara over here, and there is definitely a deep sense of loss in this reading. Now let's get to the good parts, because to leave you with something really positive is that there is a shift. And actually I'm seeing a big shift this month, not only in your sign but in the other signs, because I'm seeing here cat magic. I'm seeing, this is really, really good card. So it looks like the impact is hard, and this is why you're going in the air element. You're like literally grasping for the air. Like, I mean, literally there is this chest pain like that this kind of experience, and kind of really maybe even feeling of panic, but it's going to subside as the month progresses, right? There is a lots of self-centered energy. In your case, it's almost like nurturing energy, like you are really dedicated to becoming really better person. Like that, whenever you see the floating cat or the hangman card, to me it's always good, because not many people just go and say, okay, let me see how you see it, right? That is sort of like a judge role, right? Or, you know, a judge is more or less rendering the verdict, but this is like really trying to understand, okay, why do they feel this way? Because we usually argue and talk until cows come home, right? Our own side of the story, our own vision. And when other people talk, we just wait for a gap so we can say something, instead of like really absorbing and really going, if I were not involved in this situation, and there was that situation happening to someone else, how would I feel? So this is a sense of empathy and sense of understanding merged into one. And you guys are going to be, again, exposing yourself belly, because right now you're so vulnerable that it did hit you really, really strongly, and hence you're not even able, I guess, to deal with this, and you're minimizing your engagement with the rest of the world. But this is saying, because this is hope and fear category, that you kind of like have to figure out where you feel comfortable exposing yourself belly and where you don't. See, Tom is a really good card, meaning feeling very loving, meaning feeling very supported. You might feel exhausted by the end of the month, and oh my gosh, it seems to be a lot to handle. But rest assured that you'll be actually also coming up with workable solutions, sort of like with not a plan, but the plan to how to continue further. And initial start of that plan would be, hey, why don't I just relax a little bit? And I did lots of hard work in March. So, my dear Cancer, I would love to hear your comments, and again, please understand that this is just a general reading, and for your private one, please contact me and we can go from there. Okay, thank you so much, and please like and subscribe. I appreciate that if you like this reading, or dislike if you didn't. And also you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And lastly, don't forget to grab your copy of the annual Taroscope. Thank you so much. Love ya.